The Christ in me greets the Christ in you. The Christ in me greets the Christ in you. You may be seated. So, where I come from, when we say the Christ in me greets the Christ in you, the response is the Christ in me greets the Christ in you. So let's try that again. The Christ in me greets the Christ in you. The Christ in me greets the Christ in you. Thank you. Allow me to acknowledge the clergy, the different structures and committees of the church, including the education desk, which saw it appropriate for me to come and speak. Allow me to acknowledge the choir, Ekula Kaman. I had options to go to other parishes. I'm from Johannesburg, and I came here from Sebens. I had options to go to other parishes. This is the first parish I came to, and I was wowed by the music. So, Father Nkonto has often said that this choir is obsessed with excellence. I concur in this. Allow me to acknowledge young people. Allow me to acknowledge fellow graduates. Allow me to acknowledge Professors Meshatwa and Professor Tipe. Allow me to acknowledge, in my culture, we call him Mandebele. That's my wife. I don't want to interfere with my sleeping arrangements. I need to acknowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow graduates, my speech is in three parts. I want to talk about those students who were not successful. I'll talk about those who were successful, and then I'll give a motivational speech as I conclude. So, not so long ago, matric results were published, and unfortunately, not everyone passed. So this part of my speech is directed to those who didn't pass matric. Failing matric can be a setback, but it doesn't have to be the end of your dreams. There are countless South Africans who did not succeed at first attempt, but they never lost hope and remained committed to overcoming the challenges that lay before them. One such person is Dr. Innocent Serova. He's currently the CEO of the Agri-SETA. He holds a PhD from University of Pretoria. He failed matric not once, not twice, 3 times. He repeated matric 3 times. So when he was interviewed earlier this month, he said, "It does not matter how slowly you walk in life. As long as you don't stop walking, you will finally arrive. Despite all the setbacks, there is always a second chance to life. You fall, you stand up. Like a marathon runner, you run and finish your race." The late Dr. Stephen Bantu Biko said, "Education is the spear we blacks have to challenge whites with. And if we are denied access to it, we will ultimately be reduced to the destitute status of our forefathers." So, Dr. Serova was saying, your education is your life. Guard it well. So, despite having failed matric 3 times, he persevered, and today he holds a PhD. There's a lady called Puledi Modri who was also interviewed. She's from Limpopo. She failed matric not once, twice. This is what she said. "I was one of the students who made my former high school not get 100% matric pass. My disappointment was huge and I felt like a failure. And then this is what she did. You see, she took action. She says, I applied to a different school where I could start again and pass my matric when I was 21. My doors started opening. I got a job and now I'm very happy. I'm very happy to say I'm an independent and permanently employed young lady. The second last story is of a lady called, she's from here, Ekabecha. She was also interviewed. I'm hoping she's in the church today. Zamatungwa Makhene from Gqeberha. She failed her matric in 2020. She tried again the following year and she got a bachelor pass. She advises that giving up should never be an option, as trying again and passing is very possible. She says, when I failed matric, I was devastated. I cried a lot. After trying again, I passed matric and now I'm entering my third year of a Bachelor of Commerce degree in logistics. So these stories are from real people who breathe the same air that you and I breathe. They show that failing matric should not be fatal, and in fact, it's not the end of the world. If they did it, what stops any of us from doing it? Let me share with you my story. I wanted to go study my MBA, but I wanted my employers to pay my fees and pay my salary while I'm studying. So I went to my boss and I said, I want to go study my MBA full time and I want the company to pay my salary while I'm away. What do you think he said? I won't use the words he used, but he said, no way. He said, while you're away, I have to find someone to do your job and pay your salary. So I left it. The following year, I went to VET. I went to write the entrance exam to the MBA. I passed and I went to him and I said, you remember that issue we discussed? I'm still at it. He says, Ish, I don't have budget. So I said to him, I have a proposal. I'm going to write to the group CEO with my proposal. I'll copy you in. He said, go ahead. In a week, I got a response. And there I was off to VET to do my MBA with a full salary. So, you see, not all doors that are closed are locked. The other story I want to share with you is when I was studying to become a chartered management accountant, I thought I studied hard. So when the results came back, the pass mark is 80. I got 78. I was crushed. I thought, this is not for me. But then I said to myself, I have to finish what I started. So I went back and I studied. So because I was working already, I woke up at 2 in the morning every weekday and studied from 2 to 5. And then I went to bed at 5, woke up at 6, and then I went to work. And I had a full day. I didn't feel like I didn't sleep for a couple of hours. So I went to write my exam, and when the results came, I was successful because I wanted to finish what I started. Okay. So there are other successful celebrities who also fell along the way. Many of you know Oprah Winfrey. Did you know she was fired at her first job? They told her she's too emotional. She's not good for TV. Look at her now. Some of you may know Sidney Poitier. He's passed away. So he went for an audition, and he grew up poor from in the Bahamas. He was told when he was doing auditions to say, "Why don't you waste people's time and go out become a dishwasher?" So Sidney Poitier went on to win an Oscar for The Lilies of the Field in 1964, and 1967 super successful Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. So as we move on to the second part of my talk, I want to talk to the class of 2024 who successfully completed Matric. Congratulations and well done. I want to say to you, welcome to the real world. You have successfully jumped the hurdle of high school. The Minister of Education announced that the pass rate for the class of 2024 was 87.2%, the highest it's ever been under the new government. Just over 337 matriculants passed with a bachelor pass. Congratulations to the learners. Let us not forget the teachers who continue to do a great job under very difficult circumstances, with very limited resources. Let us not forget the parents who continue to encourage these children. Every one of you deserves a pat on the back. Regrettably, there are not enough spaces at university. The students who obtained the bachelor's pass, 337,000. There are not enough spaces in universities. Here are examples. University of Witwatersrand, Wits, they received 145,000 applications. They can only take 6,000. Walter Sisulu received 380,000. They can only take 7,300. UKZN received 290,600. They can only take 6,000. Stellenbosch received 90,000. They can only take 6,000. So, it therefore means that only students who passed exceptionally well, who received exceptionally good marks, will be accepted. Some may even be accepted for second or third choices. I know I'm speaking from experience. So when I finished my matric, I thought I had done very well. I wanted to do this particular course at Wits University. And when I got there, they told me, sorry, you qualify for Bachelor of Primary Education. I wanted to do chemical engineering. So even though I thought I passed well, I didn't pass well enough because there were many others who passed much better than myself. So instead of just sitting down and feeling sorry for myself, I went to Vista University. I registered for a BCom degree. I sailed through. So what options are there for those students who will not make the cut to mainstream universities? The Minister of Education, or I think it was the Deputy, said TVET colleges are an option. They are both publicly and privately funded. Publicly funded colleges also accept NSFAS students. But there's a criteria that you need to meet. Firstly, you must be a South African citizen. You must be intending to register an approved course. You must be in need of financial assistance. And of course, you must meet the academic attendance requirements. So universities are not the end, the all and be all. So there's TVET colleges, and they offer courses such as engineering studies, business and utility studies, management, marketing, finance, office administration, economics and accounting, education and development, hospitality, tourism. All TVET colleges in South Africa are funded by NSFAS. So for those who, and I'm sure all of you have access to Google. You can Google. There are, I think I found 6, 7 TVET colleges in the Eastern Cape. There are also opportunities to study abroad. Some of the governments overseas offer studies to students from third world countries. So despite what anybody says, South Africa is still considered a third world country. They offer students to study for free, and they also offer them a monthly stipend. Imagine you earn while you study. So the last company I worked for is Barloworld Limited. And my former boss at Barloworld, he got access to one of these opportunities after matric, and he went to study chemical engineering in the United States. You can also do it. There are also opportunities to start your own business. There are organizations that provide funding to budding entrepreneurs. There are also organizations that would assist people to put together a compelling business plan that would be able to attract finance. And I'm sure there are universities that can also play a part and assist you in putting together a business plan. Failing which, you can just go to the funders and say, I have this idea. Maybe you don't need to share with them what the idea is, because some of them, they might misappropriate it for themselves. You may ask them, what do you need for me to be funded? And then they'll tell you, and then you'll start putting a plan together. Let me tell you, where there is a will, a way can be found. Okay. So, the third and final part of my talk is about setting and achieving goals. So, why do some people get ahead faster than others and achieve goals? Why? You know, God, we serve a mighty God. And God is fair. God gives to each of us the same number of hours. God doesn't say, today I'm giving you 4 hours. God gives to all of us the same number of hours. What we do with those 24 hours pretty much determines where we're going to land tomorrow. Okay. So, back to the question, why are some people more successful than others when we have the same number of hours? Why? So, research done shows that people are successful because, firstly, they have goals. Imagine, I don't want to talk about Pirates and Sundowns, but I'll use another example. Imagine that the Springbok team is playing New Zealand and there are no goals, there are no goalposts. How will they determine who's the winner? So, successful people have goals. Secondly, their goals are written down. If they are just in your head, the goals are written down, they post them on the wall, they can see them every day. That is what I'm aiming for. Once you have those goals, they determine how you spend your day. So they have goals, they have plans to achieve their goals, and then they work the plans on a daily basis. So have a plan, work your plan. Have goals, have a plan to achieve your goals, work your plan. If you don't set goals for yourself, this is what Brian Tracy says. If you don't set goals for yourself, you are doomed to achieve goals for somebody else. So the work has already been done for us. The formula has already been put in place. There is really no need to want to reinvent the wheel. I'm sure most of you are aware of the award winning Dr. John Maxwell. He wrote in one of his many books, "You will never change your life until you change something you do daily." And he says, "The secret of your success is found in your daily routine." According to Brian Tracy, he wrote a book called How to Get Everything You Want. He says, "Your ability to set goals is the master skill of success." He says, "Goals unlock your positive mind. Without goals, you simply drift and flow on the current of life." And I'm sure most of you have been on an aeroplane. You have flown from point A to point B. Now, let me tell you the amount of planning that goes into moving a plane from point A to point B. They check the weather, they determine what altitude they're going to fly at, which way is the wind coming. There's quite a lot of things. So, if you don't have a plan, you will just wander without knowing what exactly am I aiming for. So one of the rules of success is it doesn't matter where you are coming from. All that really matters is where you are going. And where you are going is solely determined by yourself and your thoughts. We read in the Bible, as man thinketh, so is he. So everything we see around us began as a thought in someone else's mind. I don't know how many of you have seen these books. They call them what for dummies. You know, it's Excel for dummies, Word for dummies. Somebody was in a queue wanting to buy a book that would explain Excel to him. And he asked the person behind the counter, "Do you have a book that I can read that will teach me how to use Excel?" And they didn't have one. He says, "No, man, something like Excel for dummies." Somebody behind me, him took the idea, published those books. He sold over 1 million copies of those. So there's a dummies book for this, a dummies book for that. He's made money. So ideas are all over us. So everything we see around us began as a thought in someone else's mind. I want to share with you something that is true. You can Google it. It's a publication. It's an article that was published on April 11 in 1953. It was a prediction about the telephone of the future. So here it says everything begins with the mind. So that's why they say be careful what you think about. Okay. So this is what this former president and director of this company called Pacific Telephone and Telegraph in the US. He said, "Just what form the future telephone will take is, of course, pure speculation." This is 1953. And he says, "Here is my prophecy. In its final development, the telephone will be carried about by the individual." 1953. "Perhaps as we carry a watch today, it probably will require no dial or equivalent, and I think the users will be able to see each other if they want as they talk." He says, "Who knows what it may actually translate from one language to another." So this was in 1953. Somebody had this vision to say we'll be walking around with our own cell phones as opposed to using a landline. So everything begins in the mind. So what the mind can conceive can be achieved. However, it starts with the ability to first conceive it. Your thoughts create and shape your world. You become what you think about most of the time. Your outer world ultimately becomes a reflection of your inner world and mirrors back to you and what you think about most of the time. So, whatever you think about most of the time eventually emerges in your real world. Many successful people, when asked, what is it they think and talk about most of the time? The most common answer given by successful people is they think and talk about what they want. They think and talk about how to get what they want most of the time. On the other hand, unsuccessful and unhappy people think and talk about what they don't want, their problems and worries, and who is to blame most of the time. Successful people keep their thoughts and conversations on the topics of their most intensely desired goals. They think and talk about what they want most of the time. When you are absolutely clear about your goal, you don't even have to know where the goal is. By simply deciding what it is you want, you will begin to move towards your goal, and your goal will start moving towards you. A gentleman by the name of Mark McCormick wrote in his book titled What They Don't Teach You at Business School. He said, in 1979, the MBA graduates of Harvard were asked, have you set clear and written goals for yourself, for your future, and have you made plans to accomplish them? Only 3% of the class had written goals and plans to achieve them. 13% had goals, but the goals were not in writing. 84% had no specific goals at all, aside from getting out of school and go having a job. 10 years later, the same students were interviewed, so 1979, 1989. And the 13%, so that's the 13% who had goals but were not written down were earning on average twice as much as the 84% who had no goals at all. Most surprisingly, the 3% who had written goals with plans to achieve them were earning on average 10 times more than the other 97%. The only difference among the three groups was the clarity of the goals they had for themselves when they left university. So goals give you a sense of meaning and purpose. Goals give you a sense of direction. As you move towards your goals, you feel happier. You feel more confident. Every step you take towards your goals increases your confidence that you can set and achieve even bigger goals in the future. The fact of the matter is, every one of us has an inborn ability to achieve any goal we set for ourselves. We all have within ourselves to achieve any goal we set. Your greatest responsibility is to invest whatever time is required to become absolutely clear about exactly what it is you want and how you can best achieve it. The greater clarity you have regarding your true goals, the more of your potential will unleash for good in your life. An oil billionaire was once asked, what is the secret of success? And his response was, success requires two things and two things only. You must know exactly what it is you want. So you must have a plan. Unfortunately, most people never make this decision. We never say, this is what I want, and therefore I'm only going to focus on that which I want. The second point he raised was, you must determine the price you will have to pay to achieve it, and then get busy paying that price. So you have it within yourself. Setting goals, working towards them day by day, and ultimately achieving them is the key to happiness in life. Now, success is not just making lots of money. For me, success is finding your God given purpose and living it. Otherwise, when you go to heaven, God will ask you, my son, my daughter, what did you do with all those talents that I gave you? So take charge of your life and stop blaming external factors. In 2010, I was working as chief financial officer of the World Cup. On SABC2, they published results, metric results, and there was this kid. He's a kid, right? From rural Eastern Cape. He obtained an A in math. He obtained an A in physical science. You know, I did maths and physics at high school. We had a laboratory. They didn't have a laboratory. But he still managed to get an A and a B. So when I got to the office, I said to my boss, we need to get that kid and sponsor him. So when the company reached out to SABC, they said, no, you're late. Old Mutual has already taken him. He's going to do actuarial science at University of Cape Town. So as I conclude, Mfundis, I want to talk to the young people. You are the generation that will shape the future of this world. And the potential within you is limitless. But to truly unlock that potential, you must recognize the incredible strength and guidance that both God and education can provide. Firstly, remember that God has designed each of you with a purpose and passion. He has equipped you with unique talents and the ability to make a difference. But this divine potential isn't just given to you, it requires your cooperation. Trust in God's plans for you. Sometimes life might seem uncertain and challenges might appear insurmountable. But know that God never forsakes his children. Look at how, when you read the Bible, he took care of the children of Israel when they left Egypt, followed by the strongest army in the world. His children and every obstacle you face, God never forsakes his children, and every obstacle you face is an opportunity to grow stronger. When you face hardships, don't see them as setbacks, but as lessons. God is always by your side, guiding your steps and giving you the strength to keep you going. When you falter, seek his wisdom in prayer and reflection, and you will find the courage to rise again. So I want to talk about education as I conclude with this. Education isn't just about textbooks or exams. It's the key that unlocks your potential, that empowers you to understand your purpose in life and to make meaningful contributions to this world. Knowledge is a divine tool that allows you to build your dreams and honor the gifts God has given you. The pursuit of knowledge is not just about personal success. It's about using what you learn to serve others and make the world a better place. You, the youth, are the future leaders, teachers, doctors, engineers, and thinkers. The only reason you are not wearing what I'm wearing is because I went to school ahead of you. So there's an opportunity for you to supersede what most of us have achieved. So I encourage you to embrace both your faith and your education with open hearts. Use your mind and spirit to grow, to understand, and to act. Let God's light shine through your efforts, and let your education be the means by which you bring about positive change. You are never alone in this journey. God's grace is with you, and through education, you have the power to change the world. Go forward with courage, with faith, and with determination. The world needs your brilliance, your kindness, and your wisdom. I want to say to you, I hope beautiful things happen to you. And when they do, I hope you can believe you are worthy of every single one of them. God bless you all. I thank you.